Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada, southern tip of Vancouver Island. I hope everybody is having a great week so far. Hi Ashish, welcome members. Kanupriya, Davlat Bek, Rano, Ruslan, Jas, Simran, good to see many students in this class. Students, we are looking at an IELTS reading band 9, technical reading about people with red hair. And there you go. There is an image. First tip of the day, when you read in the IELTS, you have to visualize what you're reading about. Here, there's a little bit of help with this woman with the long red hair. So make sure to visualize and see the information that you are going to be reading about. Connect the information to those visual images. This is not a members chat class. Everybody can watch this class. It's the class for February 3rd, and it's not members chat. If you want to be a member of the channel, however, you can click the join button beside the subscribe button. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Check us out there for the general IELTS. Visit us at gieltshelp.com, where you can get over 100 hours of videos, 400 slide interactive course, and original practice exams. The websites look like this. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background. Just click this big red button to join our premium package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you can see that we are an IELTS test registration center, certified agents. You're in great hands with us. We help thousands of students every month succeed in their IELTS goals. You can use a discount code. This is the general IELTS course. When you click that big red button, use coupon code TIGER9, the Lunar New Year, Year of the Tiger. Again, happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Use that code TIGER9 for a 30% discount, just like our 2022 New Year's code was similar to this one as well. So make sure to use that. Again, students, that's TIGER9. To get our apps, you can download it in your Apple app, Google Play Store, Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Search for those apps. For Instagram, IELTS _AEhelp and GIELTS Help. Check us out there. Join those courses. Do yourself a favor. Start succeeding for IELTS. So students, lots of classes. We've got the reading right now, and then tomorrow we'll have more speaking for members. We'll have reading again for everyone, and then we'll have a Q&A session and speaking. If you have any questions, you can send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. All right. Yash, the total fees for your full course depend on where you are in the world. It's different priced for different countries, so it's more available that way. So just check it out. Go to the website, check it out. All right. So, why do people have red hair? We are going to read first thing first, and we've got audio for this, so read aloud and read with the audio, and then we'll look at the questions afterwards. This time we're just simply going to do some reading practice. So read with this British person, everybody. This is a standard IELTS academic passage, but you could see this for section 3 of the general IELTS as well. So here we go, everyone. Get ready to read. The title of this passage is Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? Let's do this. Oh, just a second while you're getting ready. Here we go.
Why do some people have red hair? Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads, and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting, and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even then, the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for red-headedness, rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a red-headed child to non-red-headed parents. The parents may not be red-headed themselves, but they carry the gene. And if their ancestry was to be analysed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin-1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants, exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to the low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets even when underexposed to the sun. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because red-headedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair, as a recessive gene, has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay.
All right, everyone, that's the reading, and that's a typical IELTS reading for the academic passages or for section 3 of the general. Now let's answer some questions. So don't worry, we'll have a chance to look at the text again. So here we go. Let's answer some questions. Now, we're going to look at the passage questions here in a moment, but before we do, there's a very good exercise that you should practice before the IELTS at home. Okay, so when you do the reading passages, you have to understand what you read. Okay, so you must understand the key information of what you read in order to get a band 7 or higher on the exam, especially if you want to get a band 9. Because for a band 9, you can only get one question wrong, okay? So you cannot expect the questions to reveal the answers. Although that might happen sometimes, you cannot have that expectation. Therefore, a good exercise to do after reading, while practicing at home for the exam, is to ask and answer key questions about the passage. Okay, so let me do this. Let's see how many of you can answer my questions correctly. So what is the reason for having red hair? Can anybody tell me that? So what is the reason for having red hair? Okay. I'm going to, this is question 1. I'm just going to list a couple of questions, and if you think you have the answer, give me the number and then the answer, okay? So next question, what is the cause of red hair? Okay. Number 3, where is red hair most common? Okay. Number 4. What traits are associated with having red hair? Okay. Number 5. What is the benefit of having red hair? Number 6. What is the deficit of having red hair? Okay. So when you're studying at home, you should be able to think of these kinds of 6 questions and then give the answers. Now, I see that you have some answers coming up, like Bakrat says, lack of dietary fiber for number 2. I think that's wrong, Bharat. Okay, Jyoti says MC1R. Anu says it's genes. Okay, so the cause of red hair is genetics, and Jyoti says it's more specifically the MC1R gene. Okay, Maria Theresa NGO also says because of the MC1R gene, it's responsible for red hair. Bakrat, please give me the numbers. Okay. Cass says for number 4, they lack vitamin D. I don't know if that's actually true, Cass, that they lack vitamin D. I would say that that's wrong for number 4. Poonam says it's a genetic disorder. Poonam, having red hair is not a genetic disorder. Lavrika says rickets is a deficit of red hair. I would disagree. I would say it's quite the opposite. Cass for number 4 says resistant to cold. Cass, it's the opposite. They say that people with red hair are not resistant to cold. Okay, so we need some answers for this one. Okay. All right. Baljit says they can absorb vitamin D faster. I don't know about faster, but better for sure. Okay, so Baljit says for this one, they can, so redheads can better absorb vitamin D, so they are less likely to get rickets disease. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, okay, so Joaquin says for number 6, they're sensitive to cold. Yeah, people who are redheads seem to be more sensitive to cold. Okay, sure. Shiny Girl says number 1 is gene. Kind of. As well, so yeah, it's also the reason, but there's a bit more there. I think somebody said this earlier. Okay, Ikshan says that for number 2, the cause of red hair is they live in areas with lower sunshine. I think that that's the better answer, Ikshan, for number 1. Okay, so live in areas with less sunshine, right? Okay. Geographic and evolutionary. So hopefully some of you got that. Okay. All right. Western and Northern Europe. Places where these Europeans went to. Like North America. Yeah, Panu, very good. Panu says it's genetic, geographic, and evolutionary. It's in the first one. Okay. Manisha, yellow teeth definitely was not in there. Okay. All right. Jazz says, I'm not able to understand this strategy. Can you explain it? Yeah, Jazz, let me explain this one more time. If you want to get a high band score in your IELTS reading, you can't expect that you can get a high band score in 20 minutes without understanding the basic information or the key information in the passage. So in order to understand the key or the basic information in the passage, to check your coherence, you have to be able to generate 4 to 5 questions that target the main ideas presented to you in the passage. If you have to search for all of these ideas by looking at the passage, by looking at the questions over and over, you will run out of time and you will probably get a lot of the answers incorrect. Does that make sense for everyone? So does it make sense why we're taking a little bit of a different approach today? And I'm focusing purely on comprehension rather than staring at the questions. So does everybody understand this? Okay, so if you need to scan and search and match answers without being able to understand the main points of a passage in IELTS, it is virtually impossible. So I don't want to say impossible, but almost impossible to finish a passage in 20 minutes and get a score over 6. Does that make sense? Kate Kyber says no. Arda and Bahrat and Baljit say yes, and I see that there's a bit of a panic face going on as well, but you have to be able to do that, okay? So you read the passage in about 8 to 10 minutes, and then you have 10 minutes to answer the questions. And for those 10 minutes, you have to have the answers for at least half of the questions clearly from your head, okay? All right. Okay, here we go, everyone. Let's take a look at the actual questions again, and we have some good answers now. So let's go through these questions and answers first. So what is the reason for having red hair? The reason is geographic, so the location, and evolutionary. So evolutionary means to survive better, okay? People with red hair live in areas with less sunshine. Absolutely. So vitamin D being a product of sunshine, people with red hair are able to process vitamin D better, right? We asked that question, what is the benefit of having red hair? The answer is redheads can better absorb vitamin D. Okay. They're less likely to get disease or sickness because of vitamin D, right? Rickets is one of those terrible illnesses that we get when we don't have enough vitamin D, but vitamin D actually makes our immune system stronger, and it protects us from a lot of other types of sickness as well. I'm sure many of you during COVID have been taking vitamin D supplements or vitamin C supplements to make your immune system stronger, right? Redheads naturally are able to produce more vitamin D because sunshine being the key there, and they're in areas with less sunshine, okay? Interestingly, they're more sensitive to cold. They bruise easier. They've had stereotypes. In history, like being witches. Okay? So the more that you can get from the passage like this, the better you're going to do when you actually get to the questions. What causes red hair? It's a specific kind of gene. It's an MC1R gene. If you didn't get all of this information, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, by the time you finish the passage, it's not the end of the world, but you should have gotten at least 3 to 4 of these answers clearly from the passage to get that band 7, to get that band 8 or band 9, okay? Where is red hair most common? Think about it, visualize it. In Europe, Northern Europe, Western Europe, like Ireland, Scotland, okay? And places where people went to from Ireland, Scotland, and other parts of Europe, specifically Canada, United States, maybe Australia, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the actual passage here in our exam book. Why do people have red hair? Okay, And then we'll look at the questions now. So here, you have to choose no more than 2 words from the passage to answer each question. Okay, so no more than 2 words. Number 14, red hair is common in countries with something from, pay attention to prepositions, Western Europe. What do you think? Based on these answers that we've given for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what do you think would work here? Depeche, you cannot get a band 5.5 by guessing. No, it doesn't work. Okay. So Baljit says maybe migration. Okay. Arda says maybe the word is immigration. Now here, if you know what the word might be, then what you can do is what's called active scanning and active searching. Okay. Okay. Active scanning and random scanning, there's a big difference. Okay. Okay, random scanning means that, okay, you're like, oh, Western Europe. Okay, so I'm going to search for Western Europe. But what if Western Europe is not actually there? What if they use different words for that? Okay, like they actually identify it as immigration from Scotland and Ireland. Okay, so you have to know that that is Western Europe, right? Active scanning, for the correct answer, is much better. This is when you're scanning for the inferred information. Okay, is everybody clear on the difference between active scanning versus random scanning if you have to check for the answer? So active scanning is when you have an idea of what the information should be and where it should be coming from, and you're looking for it with purpose, so with direction. Random scanning is when you're just like, and I've seen, I don't want to laugh, but it's actually sad. It's not sad, but it's how should I say this? It's worrying for tutors and examiners when we see like the students doing the IELTS exam, and you can see that they're like this. Okay, I can just look at an IELTS candidate and I can tell if they're doing active, purposeful scanning versus random scanning. A person who's active scanning, you kind of see their eyes slowly move through the part where they have a pretty good idea the answer is coming from, and they're kind of, you can see that they're focused. And then when people are random scanning, it's like they're panicking. Like you literally, now this is where you can use the panic emoji, Arda. It's where they're like doing this, and you're like, ooh, that looks painful, and it's just, I don't think it's going to be the right answer, right? And I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Okay. So here I'm active scanning, which means that I'm not actually looking for parts of the question like Western Europe or red hair, but I'm looking for the words migration, immigration, or a similar type of word. Okay. And I know it's somewhere from the beginning. Okay. So here I go back and I go, okay, well, let's see. So this was somewhere in the beginning. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Some countries with historical immigration from Western Europe. Okay, so now, because I was actually looking for this word, immigration, I realized that, okay, there's Western Europe as well. Super, I'm on the right track. And I actually have another word here, historical immigration. So if I want to go for that 100% accuracy, realizing that it says two words here, okay, I go, okay, so the correct answer will be historical immigration from Western Europe. And now I'm very confident that my answer is not partial. They'll probably take immigration, but I'm going for that 100% correct, and I know the spelling is right, so it's historical immigration. Okay? All right, everybody clear now, right? So remember this strategy, right? Active scanning versus random scanning. All right, keep that in mind. There's a big, big difference. Okay. All right, this one here, number 15. A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. It's one word. I remembered this from the passage. When you're going for a band 9, this is the kind of answer that you should not be searching for. This is the one where it should be quite clear. Okay. So Arda says it's a recessive gene. Okay. A recessive gene. Absolutely. Okay. Now here I would also use my own knowledge. So in biology, I think it's like grade 10 biology, grade 9 biology, where we get an introduction to basic genetics, and we learn about dominant versus recessive genes. And we learn that, okay, a recessive gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. I would not search for this. Okay. Number 16, evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. Okay. So again, because I answered the questions, right? So why do people have red hair, right? So what has resulted in red hair, then we kind of know what the answer here is. Okay. And we've got a lot of people answering geography. So Diana, Chandra, Lavrika, Faras, Cass, Arda all say geography, and we've got lots more, right? So very good. Okay. Again, a big tip here, students, to get those high band scores, you cannot be searching the text for every answer. It just doesn't work, okay? Manpreet says location. Yeah, and location's a good idea. You want to be more technical, Manpreet? Geography. They might give it to you for location, though, okay? Geography. All right, number 17. This comes from those questions and answers that I provided without first looking at the questions and answers, okay? Number 17, in addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes something to occur on the skin. Now, if you read this and remembered it, great. If not, when you have a specific term like MC1R gene, another way that you can do some active scanning is to look for that specific term. Okay. And I remember that here, but you can only do this when you have a very specific term, like a very unique noun, like MC1R. Okay. Unique specific nouns, like names, like the MC1R gene, can help you. And they're very obvious because they jump out, right? Like right here, especially when they're capital like that, MC1R gene, right? So the specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin 1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair along with other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and myriad freckles, for example. Okay, so Manpreet and Shab say, oh, there's the answer. It's freckles, right? Freckles are those little dots. So when you have those little speckles, they're not speckles, they're freckles. Okay, not speckles, but freckles when they're on the skin. So freckles, Freckles. Okay. Many freckles. To occur on the skin. All right, we're doing good so far. Again, you need to understand most of the passage or a lot of the passage to get those high band scores so that you're not just searching randomly. Okay. All right. So 18 to 21, do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer? So here we have a yes, no, not given. This is similar to true, false, not given. Okay. You can even say same as true, false, not given. Okay. Now for this type of question, here's your strategy. Okay. Number one, figure out if it is given or not given. How do I do that? So how do I figure out if it is given or not given? Okay, don't just start answering for us because you'll get it wrong. Manpreet, same thing. So you'll get it wrong, and both of you have gotten it wrong because you're just throwing answers out without actually following strategy. Okay. One sure way to get these kinds of questions wrong is to just start giving answers without thinking. Okay. You must apply strategy to maximize your score with this type of question. Okay. So, how do I figure out? We did read the passage, Sab. We read the passage at the beginning of the class. Okay. Cass says, absolutely. Ask yourself if it is important. So ask yourself if it is important for the topic and controlling ideas of the passage, or if it is off topic or too much detail. Okay, so if it's important, then it's going to be given. Okay. If it is off topic or too much detail, then it is not given. Okay, let me show you this. Once you realize this, you're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So excessive sunshine causes rickets. Is it important to know the cause of rickets? This would be my question here. So, is it important to know the cause of rickets? Rickets being that disease. Remember, everyone, you should be like a little red flag should pop up here. So like a bing, red flag. Why? Because remember, when we were looking at the questions here, right, that we asked on our own, okay? So remember we had those questions there, and here we had this question. What is the benefit of having red hair? and then we had the answer, they are less likely to get rickets disease. Okay, so we had that word, remember, rickets disease. So then going back to the question, okay. Is it important to know the cause of rickets? Manpreet says no, because rickets is caused by a deficiency in vitamin D. I would say this, okay? So if you're reading this passage carefully, you should say yes, because one reason to have red hair is to decrease the likelihood of rickets disease. Okay, so that's one of the reasons they have this adaptation. All right, so is too much sunshine the cause of rickets? Where do people with red hair live? They live in places with low levels of sunshine, and they have red hair so they don't get rickets, because people who don't have red hair will get rickets. So we need sunshine for vitamin D. So if we have lots of sunshine, we have lots of vitamin D and low chance of getting red hair, right? So is this an important question? Yes, it is. Okay, so it's going to be given. Okay, now when I know that it's given, I need to figure out if it's true or not. So next, you need to figure out whether, so if you know that it's given, so if you know it is given, you need to figure out whether or not the statement is true. Okay. So here we know that rickets is important. We have to understand the cause of rickets for this passage, because red hair is an adaptation so that we don't die from rickets. So we have to understand whether or not it's true or false. So here we have to go, okay, is it true that a lot of sunshine causes rickets? And we know the answer, because no. Sunshine helps vitamin D, British say vitamin, vitamin D, so it prevents rickets. Okay, therefore the answer, and now, okay, this seemed a bit slow, but when you do this and you know how to do this, it's going to be really, really fast. Okay, so Simran, Cass, absolutely, the answer here is no. That's the correct answer. Okay, so let me just recap here for all of you so that you're not confused, okay? So yes, no, not given, true, false, not given type questions. Number one, I need to figure out if it's given or not given. Next, I need to figure out if it's true or if it's false. How do I do this? By figuring out if it's important or if it's too much detail or off topic, okay? Once I know that it's given, I have to pay attention and make sure that I understand if it's true or false. Okay, so excess sunshine causes rickets. Is it important? Yes, it is. Is it true that excessive sunshine causes rickets? No, sunshine produces vitamin D. It keeps us healthy. Okay, so the answer is no. All right. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Is it important? Okay, I'm going to do this a bit faster so you can see how it works. Is it important to know the amounts of eumelanin? Seems so. There seems to be something about this, okay? So yes, I seem to remember reading about this, okay? So I think it's given, all right? Next question, is it true that high amounts of eumelanin helps absorb vitamin D? Okay. My answer, I don't know. But because it's given, I can search for it. So I actively scan for eumelanin. Okay. So I go back and I actively scan for eumelanin. It's going to be somewhere around where they are talking about vitamin D and the gene. Okay. So this lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D. Sunshine being the main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets. Okay. So one side effect of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. So they have low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies, so they can easily absorb vitamin D. Okay, focusing here on low amounts. So then I know now that the answer for number 19 is no. Why? Because it's low amounts of eumelanin that are needed to absorb vitamin D, not high amounts. Okay? So it's contradicting the passage. Okay, a little bit faster now. Redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. Important? No. So not given. Why? Why was I so quick to decide that this is a not given? Okay. Why did I know this so quickly? So why did I so quickly know that redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments is going to be not given? Demo says it's not true. The passage doesn't tell me that it's true or not, but why did I know that so quickly? Cass says I haven't read anything about it. Yeah, I didn't really read anything about it. There's also another piece of information that tells me this. So Bharat says it's kind of out of content. Ikshan says it's too specific. I would say it's too general, right? This is an overly generalized statement that is irrelevant to the passage. So even cast beyond not remembering reading anything about this, it's just a very general kind of throw out statement, right? So it's a not given. Okay, number 21. Redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Is it important? So do you think the author is going to talk about this fact that, you know, they're less or more capable? Okay, Manpreet thinks it is. I think no. For the same reason as the previous. It's overly general. So I would just go not given. Okay. Now, I remember I did read something about the misconceptions of redheads in a previous paragraph. It was somewhere closer to the end. But I don't remember reading. Yeah. So here, there does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotypes of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. So there's a negative stereotype that redheads are physically less capable, but the author doesn't say whether or not they are. Okay. Does that make sense? So saying that there's a stereotype doesn't actually, we don't know the author's opinion from this. Okay. So it says that there's a stereotype that, that they are less physically capable, but we don't know whether or not that's true. We don't know what's said there. So there's no clarity there. It's just a negative stereotype, but we don't know. Are they? Aren't they? The author doesn't say. Okay. Remember, something is only given or contradicted when we have clarity on the author's opinion. Here, have a look. Yes, if the statement agrees with the claims. No, if the statement contradicts the claims of the writer. Not given if it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. In this case, it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this statement. Redheads are less physically capable. There's a stereotype that they are, but we don't know if it's true or not. Okay. All right. Okay, so students, we have a paragraph completion type question here. Redhead misconceptions. I'm going to leave this for homework for everyone. So have a look at this. Okay, redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Notable in some cultures, they were thought to lack something. Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and something people. The perception that redheads are dying out is entirely something because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss something. Redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. You have the possible choices here. Okay, false, cleanliness, true, generations, quirky, proportion, soul, and number, A to H. So choose the correct answers for this one and send me an email with the answers, and I'll send you back the answer key. Okay, so I'll show you my email address here real quick, and then you can send me the email. There's my email address at the bottom there, right beside me, right there. So adrian@aehelp.com. You can send me your answers to the reading passage there, and I'll give you the correct answer key. Okay. All right. So students, keep up the good work. Okay. Make sure to check us out at aehelp.com. And make sure to check us out at IELTShelp.com. Click the big red button that's up there on the website, not on the slide, and use the code TIGER9 to get all of our practice exams, interactive courses, lesson videos in HD. You can get our app as well. You can see the app information right there and the Instagram information. That's it for me for today. Again, the websites, aehelp.com, IELTShelp.com. They look like this. Click those big red buttons. Do yourself a favor. Master the IELTS in a short time. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow with speaking for members and more reading for our audience. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria for now. Bye, everyone.